and we're excited to be live, even though we're not ready to be live, maybe. But here we are live and excited about it. You know why? Because when someone says, God, I feel really awkward about this, we're like, yeah, let's go live. Or it's a topic that, or Bethany is like, so Bethany, I'm feeling very uncomfortable. Okay, let's go live and talk about it.
It's so true. I'm like, okay, we're comfortable. We got to move through this because this is such an opportunity here. So who wants to go first and talk about what this was about, how this started?
Well, first, this is real coaching. This is as good as it gets, right? Comfortable conversation.
You always coach with tequila. Kidding.
Cheers. I have my non-alcoholic drink here. Okay.
So this topic,
wonder.
So this topic arose when Michelle was doing an interview, and she had mentioned that holding space. I mentioned holding space can be very exhausting. And if someone was listening to that, they might think, oh, Tiffany thinks holding space is exhausting. But what Michelle really meant is that holding space, one, is exhausting, but in the most beautiful way, because you have to be fully present.
I literally thought I was complimenting you because it really means that you're creating energy so that other people can do whatever they want to. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hospitality. You've been in hospitality forever.
All my life.
I think it's no different than hospitality. Like it takes a lot of energy to create a beautiful environment for someone to feel safe in.
Sorry, I'm getting ready here.
Complimenting Tiffany. She's amazing. And she went out and did the whole thing. She did the whole retreat by herself. Okay.
Yeah. And only reason why I did it by myself is because the chef backed out. And then unfortunately, the person who's doing the sound bath, her business partner, passed away.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? It's okay. The show must go on.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was thinking of that too. It's the same as performing. It's like when you perform night after night after night and you're pouring your energy out for people and you show up no matter what, or you be a mom, or, I mean, it just takes a lot of energy to live, basically.
But whatever that looks like, that's just the thing about, being a coach, facilitator, mentor. I think people really appreciate when you're able to, one, you just show up no matter what it looks like, because that's life, right? We're not always going to that as our ideal state. And that's the beauty of coaching. So, but yeah, you have to hold a lot of energy. Yeah. I feel fortunate that I harness.
Sorry, Tiff, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
Oh no, that's fine. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say, and sometimes, I don't know about you guys, sometimes when I'm coaching or facilitating, I actually get more energized. So it can be one way or the other. So it's not even that it's like necessarily a bad thing either, right? Like sometimes it is exhausting because it's just physically exhausting. And you're like, for example, with the retreat, you're doing everything. You're doing all this physical activity, plus you're coaching people, plus you're like holding space for the emotions and everything that's coming up. So there's like so much involved in that. Right. But sometimes you're just like in this amazing flow and you're creating this space of energy with these people or this other person that you are actually energized too. So it can go both ways.
I almost felt like it was a detox. Like detox is exhausting, but holy moly, what you get out of that is tenfold, like more pure, more real, more awareness. Like you really facilitated a transformational experience. And to morph sometimes is not always the most energizing experience, but moving through that into the other space, holy moly, it was well worth it.
Right. Oh, there's something else I was going to say about that too, and it keeps leaving my mind. There was something it'll come back. About the holding space part. Oh, it was about, you had mentioned too, what if somebody heard that and they took it the wrong way? And that was another really valid point of like, we can only hear to where we are at, where, you know, like the space that we're at. So somebody could hear that. They could have heard that part of the, you know, the interview that Michelle said that, and they could have taken it wrong and been like, oh, wow, Tiffany gets exhausted. Like she gets exhausted by her clients, you know, and like taking it negatively, right? Based on where they're at or what they're hearing or what, you know, where their thought process is. And I think that's a really interesting point to note that that's with everything in life, right? Like you can hear something and somebody else can hear the exact same thing, and you guys can hear two totally different things that were said, even though the sentence was exactly the same.
That's why I love this conversation. Brings light on it.
Yeah. And it really makes you have to question yourself when you are seeing things, anything, when you're perceiving something in a negative way that doesn't work for you, you know, maybe there's a different way of actually perceiving it. Maybe there's a different question to be asked. Maybe there's another possibility available than the one. Yeah. And that's what I love about this conversation and why we really had to come on, because it was like, oh, this is like one of those big pieces, right? In life in general, anytime you're triggered over something or you hear something that's like, there's something there for you.
Yeah. And it all came down is because, you know, I mentioned that in the retreat, but a lot of people didn't know I was up till, you know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning cutting food because there was no chef. So when I said that I was exhausted, someone kind of got insulted. Like they were sucking my energy from me. And I was like, no, it was so far from the truth, but that is only what they heard. Right. So it took a deeper conversation. It took creating awareness of what the real situation was for that to happen. So I mentioned that because I got triggered because I was like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. Right. So when I heard Michelle say, I was like, great, that one person who attended the retreat made me think that they could possibly hear that and just feel like everything that I said to be true was no longer true. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm thinking about how so it's like running the retreat and chopping the vegetables and organizing and, you know, taking people on all that. That's all like this active, almost masculine energy part of business or whatever, right? And then I was thinking about how holding space is the feminine energy, where you're just really like opening and creating. It's an energetic thing. And in order to orchestrate both in a way that's effective for everybody, you literally have to stand in the center of that and be able to move like more, like you said, morph, like moving from one to the other. And so especially with the retreat, I mean, it's like raising kids or running a business or anything, right? It's like you're standing there in your sovereign place, being able to perceive the overall vision. And it's like, this is why we're doing this. This is where we're going. You see the big picture. And yet you have to hold space for all of those people who are at different places, like the kid tying their shoe or the baby in your belly or the, you know, so, yeah, it's a dance.
I love that you talked about that being the receiving part, Michelle, because, you know, when I was saying at the beginning of this, that sometimes we get energized, I really feel like that's when you are open to receiving all of that while you're holding space, right? You're holding space for all of that to come through and you're able to receive it. So it's not like you're just putting up walls to it and you have to like create this heavier space. It's like a free flowing receiving thing. And that's like, I think that's a really huge thing to think about in terms of life in general and where we're willing to receive and who and what without judgments, right? Without having to put those walls up, without having to make something of it.
And I love that you mentioned the masculine and feminine energy, because that's so true. Like I know my strongest strength is I do hold a lot of masculine energy in me. So I actually brought someone onto the retreat who has a lot more feminine energy to really balance out that ecosystem created. Because it's true. It's, you know, having that ebb and flow and to be able to resonate with people on different levels. Like, this is why I love this trio right here, because we all hold a different energy.
Yes.
That's powerful. I don't know how many places where you can go into a coaching space and have 3 coaches with different archetypes, different personalities, different strong attributes. And here we are all three together facilitating these service retreats. And what a gift. You know?
Yeah, such a gift. And I think for me, so many things come back to allowing myself to be curious. It's like, let's be curious about, like Bethany was like, this is interesting. Let's go talk about it, So choosing curiosity over I don't know, condemnation or judgment or control. That's the word I'm looking for. Curiosity over control opens up opportunity and possibility. And it's like, wow, what is this about? How do I grow from this? And how do I expand my awareness around this? So, and I just love having conversations with you guys. It's just so good to connect. So curiosity, and connection and courage and tequila. Yeah. I was going to say, like, how does the C fit in here? Citrus.
And what's cool is it got you guys out of the wrongness of that happening, right? Because it was like, originally it was kind of like this stressful thing. Like Tiffany's like, oh no, my client's going to think this, right? If they see this, they're going to think that I wasn't, completely honest or whatever. And then it was like, no, we're going to actually talk about this and get out of the wrongness of it. Because really, like, what if there is possibility in everything, including the shit that happens, including the so-called bad things that come up, or the things that you're like, oh, I don't have control over that, right? So that's what's really cool about this, is like a really small example of what you can do in your everyday life when something happens that you're like, oh shit, that was bad.
Like when people pay full price for your treat and a chef drops out, and if someone who does the sound bad drops out, it's like, you've got to adapt. You still need to be willing to stop in your tracks and take inventory and be like, ask questions,
right? Like, how can this even turn out better? How can it turn out better?
Better.
Yeah,
it turns out better because when you move from that space, which what you're talking about, being curious of like, oh, well, okay, this didn't work out, so awesome, what does this open up for us? Right. And that,
exactly. It's always advantage. Like, there is no, like, thinking makes it so, right? There's no good, there's no bad. Thinking makes it so. And it really is. I mean, it's actually thinking makes it so. Like, think about that. That's a real thing. I just had a piece of tape on my shoe. That's weird. Okay. Yeah. So everything that happens is an opportunity for sure.
Yeah. I had a mastermind after we had our call this morning. I joined a mastermind class with 3 other women, and it's so powerful because when you're an entrepreneur and we're creating something here, you tend to get so focused. And now that we have all 3 of each other, we kind of have to keep all 3 of each other accountable, because now you rely on me, I rely on you, I rely on you. But sometimes you put your own personal goals and your own personal needs on the back burner, right? So that's why I have this coach on the side who keeps me aligned with my personal goals.
You have a coach on the side of our relationship.
You cheated on us.
I feel like that's a whole nother conversation. You know how weird women are about that, though? It's so funny. Like, but that's a whole nother conversation that would be really fun to have. Yeah, I agree, though. I think that we're bringing this really unique opportunity for everyone, because every time we step into a conversation, like, it's really human nature to contract and like pull back in, like, oh my God, I did something wrong, or what's going to happen? Like, that's fight or flight, right? Like we were talking about the other day. But and this is too, like, I can't wait for our play Your Way to Prosperity, because to me, it's like getting in the habit of implementing these playful practices in your day that's what allows you to really release really quickly. And if you watch children, I mean, we all have kids, so we know, like when they're toddlers, they can either let that energy go through them really quickly and then just transform without getting caught in it, or like you've seen them all like do that kind of look around, like I fell down, who's going to acknowledge that this was a big traumatic, terrible event, and I'm going to start having a tantrum. And I think it's kind of like that too with us, everything that happens during the day. And how do we just let that energy flow more playfully and with more ease and not get like so triggered? So that's why a trigger is like, oh, I wonder what that really is.
Right.
Oh, like, where is that going to take me? I know it's a doorway to possibility, or you can be like, that's bad. That's like lava on the ground. You have to jump over, you know? So we get to now decide what's an opportunity and what's the danger zone, and play with it.
That's why I'm so excited about the day 3 that I teach, because we speak just on that. Triggers. Where do they really come from? You know, there's internal triggers, external triggers, but those are also your distractions in your life. Those are the things that overwhelm you, that don't allow you to be completely focused. And really all triggers are things you're trying to avoid for pain. It's really pain management. And I'm just so excited to go into that, because we're going to bring awareness to that and show you that once you know how to manage, you can have a shit ton of fun.
Yeah.
Become more aware of those things. So.
Yeah. And they're so often not what you think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
and
Really
oftentimes we think it's someone else too, right? Like oftentimes we think it's
again.
I said oftentimes we think it's someone else or like the circumstance outside of us that's controlling it, when it's really not.
Never.
Always does.
Unfortunately, it's not his fault. Just say.
But the cool thing about that though is then we get the opportunity to change it when it's not, when you actually have control over it, right? Like when it's not them and it is you, you get to control you. You get to make the choice, the different choice. And that's what's so cool about it.
Yep. Responsibility goes both ways, right?
And that's the hardest responsibility. Like I think about when I separated from my husband, and you know, I had my kids separated, and I was like, why is this happening? Oh, he da da da. And then that hits you that one day when doing all the inner work, you go, oh, it was just me. It was that's a hard one to swallow. Yeah, all this pain I've been feeling. Yeah, I did that to myself. Awesome. You know, it's really hard to get to that, but you don't need to do it alone. And please, I suggest you don't do it alone.
No. And the thing is, it's not to beat up on yourself either. That's the thing. It's like, you didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? You're not aware. And so it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm aware. Now I can choose something different. I can forgive myself. I can understand, and I can start seeing the patterns that I was functioning from, so that when it comes up again, I know that I can choose something different.
Yeah.
You
know? Like, you know,
Tiff, you're
the victim
cutting
mentality. So hard.
Well,
you cut it out, Tiff. We didn't hear you.
Say it again.
I was just saying, stepping out of the victim mentality is very challenging. Even when you think you've overcome it, it still sneaks up on you. It's a constant shadow.
Right.
You got to always be.
Right. It just exists.
So, and speaking to like all of the physical, the activity and the action and playing in that way, a lot of the healing and the release really needs to be in the body. Like it, because the body really is a pattern that keeps pulling us back. And it all just, I mean, I know both of you can speak to this too, but it's so important to integrate everything. And that too is why I think the three of us work so well together, because we all have this kind of unique perspective, and yet we're all doing basically the same things and going from here to here to here, and releasing, and then action, and then where do you really want to go, and then releasing and action, and your world just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. I feel like no matter where you are in your life, it's always the same thing. It always comes back to the vision.
You're always the common denominator in everything in your life.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I love working with you three, we all have different perspective, all different thought patterns. We all bring more awareness to one another, different strategies, different modalities. And the fact that we get to bring this all together is this collective group is so powerful. And I just feel so privileged to be facilitating with you both when the coaching collective, because the people that are pouring in is just incredible. Like my heart is like, thank you. Thank you. This is what we've been wanting for the people. And now it's actually coming into play. So
it's really exciting. It's really, really is. It's a gift for sure.
Absolutely.
And when we were talking about like the reason that we came on all together to talk about this, I was thinking how easy it is for people to just sweep things like that under the rug, right? You just don't bring the light to it. It seems like nothing, and it really was nothing. And yet, if you allow it to be something, look what it does. That brings people together, and then we share something, and maybe one person hears something, and it makes a difference in their day or can change their life. But we can literally spend decades of our lives ruminating over one weird thing that happened that we can't I'm just looping back to this event, because in the moment we couldn't just bring light and energy to it. And just doing that, like that is a big part of what coaching is about, is being with other people that are able to just look at something and say, hey, let's look at that from a different perspective and draw out a different possibility or maybe a different direction or something. So anybody that is thinking about coaching, like that's why we're doing this. So you can get inside of the conversations with a variety of different coaches and kind of get a feel for like, what is this really all about? How come everybody is a coach or everybody has a coach? And how can it help me?
Yes. And we have some amazing coaches on the coaching collective already.
I'm telling you, get ready your Netflix and just watch a coaching interview every night.
Exactly.
In 6 months.
Literally, you could do that in the free version of it, and it's free. And then if you want to go further, that we have a VIP portion that you can come not only get all of the extras, right, from all these amazing coaches, but you get to work with us for 3 days, and that's once a week. We're doing once a week for the next few months. So, and it's such an incredible value, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited about it.
Yeah,
we're real cool. I mean, look I just got home from the grocery store, but we're showing up. Trust me, you're going to be seeing us with our suits on, but at the same time, we're real human beings too. We got our own relationships, our own responsibilities, our own companies and businesses. But this is our true core value, is to serve you all and bring transparency into the coaching industry and give you an opportunity to reach your potential, and that you don't have to do it alone.
Right. That's exactly what I do. I literally, when I swear that the universe is like, hey, Bethany, you're going to be coaching on this particular subject. And then something happens in my life. So it's I'm creating my own master class because I have to go through it first. So the class has started, everybody.
Yeah. And that's why every good coach has a coach. I mean, you've got to, and a good circle of people who are pulling you towards your vision. The one other thing I wanted to mention that really came out of the beginning was, because I've been thinking about this all day. I don't remember why. Something happened this morning. I know what it was. It was one of my clients is taking risks, sharing stuff that it's really, really uncomfortable for her. And so this idea, when Tiffany, when you were saying, if that one person might take this the wrong way, we do this all the time, all of us. Like, think of how many times during one day, the course of one day, we're wondering. I mean, I literally go through the weirdest shit sometimes where I don't even want to go out of the house because I don't even know why. It's like, what are people going to think? Well, I don't know. Most normal people go out of the house. Like, you used to go out of the house more than you were in the house. It's just, we get in weird mindset, right? And
Mhm.
what is someone going to think if I become a coach? Or what is someone going to think if I put my art out there? What is someone going to think if I write a book, or if I decide to take lessons doing something, or I date someone younger or date someone older? Or, I mean,
Yeah, it's crazy how we stop ourselves in so many ways. Just with this, like, stop this and let's start listening to this. Because those who truly love you, they're going to stick around, you know?
Yep.
And what I like to think about too is how play can break through those patterns. Like if you think about kids, and you guys still have little kids, and they don't say to the group, like, it's like, let's play. Well, and we were talking about this earlier. Well, I want to be a mermaid. They don't go through all of this agony over, well, what's everybody going to think if I want to be the mermaid? Well, what if I want to be the queen? Well, what if I want to be the king? Or what if I just want to be the baker and we're building a little village or something? What are you guys going to think? Are you going to think less of me if I do that? And I mean, you can jump from self-concept to self-concept, from role to role. You can wear what you want. You can try different things without pain and trauma and process. You can literally just go there, like you're going to go from your house to the grocery store energetically. And that is transformational play, where you just get to move really rapidly. It's like, transformational play is basically what some people call a miracle. It's what normally happens, but it just happens like that because I decided, right?
It's so true. Like, I think of a perfect example is one of my best friends, Kaylee, terrified of the ocean. Live by the ocean, always tell her kids, no, don't go, it's scary, scary. So one day she came over and I was like, hey, we're going to do some transformational play. We're going to get you on a board. We're going to get you in the water. Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God.
A lack of control. Sharks are going to eat me. Da, 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 all these things the stories you created in your head, right? But are they really true? You see me going underwater every single day underwater with sharks or whatever. And I come out just fine. I come out exuberated and more alive and connected. And so she went out and she started having this panic attack and breathe, what's true and what's not true. I'm here. If anything's going to happen, I'm the one that's in the water. Like, if something's going down, it's going to be me, right? And it was just breaking that barrier, getting the feet in the water, feeling alive and excited. Like, oh my gosh, I did it. I got through my fear. Then she went to back to the shore and she's like, I was afraid of what? Yeah, that's how I was before I got in the water. Now I can't get out of the water. We just make up these fears and we feed into them and we believe them and they're not true. So,
and by the way, it's not even like our story. We're literally like picking up on other people's things that aren't even ours. And then we just buy ours.
Conditioned. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got to unlearn and see where that really came from.
Mm-hmm. Love it. I'm so glad you guys agreed to come on and talk about this.
Yeah, we didn't really go deep into it. I don't know that what there was to talk about. You brought up this memory of my childhood when you're talking about sharks. And I remember going to this hotel and I didn't even have to watch that movie, Jaws. I just had to hear like my older brothers talking about it. And I remember sitting at the side of the pool, terrified to go in the swimming pool. It's no different than that. And then my sister, of course, finally put, or maybe it was probably my brother, one of my brothers pushed me in. And I just remember thinking, this is it. This is the end. It's coming for me. It's coming for me. It's all over. And it's no different. You know, the fear is always the doorway. It's
Mhm.
always the doorway to opportunity, because it's nothing.
And you think about how much it's robbed your joy, you know, how
Yeah.
love
It was
to
my brother's fault. I'm telling you, I was the victim.
Well,
Kidding.
and the thing you do say that there is the other thing I want to mention, because it's like there is a space of where you are actually a victim, right? Like we don't want to like take away from people's, you know, experiences, because there is a space for that you are the victim, right? It's not that didn't exist, but in order to move beyond that, it's seeing yourself as not being the victim, realizing that there is something beyond that. So I had to share that, because I know, you know, speaking about this whole thing where people things, you know, it's not about us being unkind and jumping over things that are actually real and valid for people.
Yeah,
you know?
it's not spiritual bypassing is a
Right.
big thing out there right now. That's not what we're doing. Yeah.
Right.
it's
Just
just a
one
matter of
if
continuing
at
the
the
future.
moment. I mean, what might you think? So I told you I shouldn't be drinking and living at the same time.
Oh, bad girl. This is unfiltered. This is the way it should be.
It's so interesting, isn't it though? It's everything really does come down to perspective. And when you're talking about, every time someone says victim, I think of Viktor Frankl. Victor, do you guys know him? You know, remember the book, Man's Search for Meaning? Maybe, I don't know if you guys read it, but it's a classic, and he was in all of the like total worst concentration camps during the Holocaust. And that book is it's just a classic that helps you understand that there is always a space between what's coming to you, like your response, the stimulus and the response. I think that's his famous quote, like there is a space between stimulus and response. And that's your power. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, where that space between the masculine and feminine, where you're just playing with the energy, you're literally playing with the energy so that you can hold it, but you can also function in the real world. Like it's a magical universe, you guys.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, when you like alchemize your energy, when you learn to pain into your power, or you alchemize your fear into your empowerment to become fearless. I always call it the graceful warrior. It's always hard to get there, but no matter what journey you're on, you're always going to pull out your sword and always carve away at yourself for the decisions you make. And it's so important more than ever that people just start coming forward and speaking their truth and healing their lives and really opening up to worthiness, to receiving, bringing more joy in your life. Because we all know that it's so much bigger than this as a collective, right? And that's a whole nother conversation. But Bethany, can you talk on that? Because I just really want to bring that up right now.
About which part? Like
the collective?
So there was some things I wanted to say to what you're saying. And again, I apologize. My brain is like fried today. I don't know why, but so you wanted to talk about
We know why. We actually know why, Bethany.
I was literally up at the house when we were having these text messages about this whole thing. So but yeah, so you wanted to talk about the collective and which part? Sorry, say it again.
Just the importance of the shift, the ripple effect of when one person transforms. You know, when I think of when I'm facilitating, like a one-on-one session, that really ripples into their partner, that child, that relationship, their job. It's so much bigger than that. And people sometimes just look at one-on-one coaching and it's like, no, it actually pours into every aspect of your life. And
No, that's so true. Well, that's one of the things about just taking responsibility for yourself, like we were talking about, because when you do that, that's when everything around you in the physical can shift and change for the better. And what, like we were talking about before, is like we can, bring more play into it. We can have more joy. We can have more ease with it. Like a lot of times it's just a matter of consciously choosing that, because we're so used to choosing like a drama situation or, something difficult, because that's what we've known, right? But actually, what if you can just choose ease and joy and fun with it? And then you're choosing that, and it actually allows everybody else around you to have that and choose that too, and be aware of it, or maybe not even be aware of it, but still choosing it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
or like, that person when you're happy and then you're singing and they say, please stop singing. Like, you're like,
yes.
Like,
yes.
because I'm a model for you to let you know it doesn't need to be like a kid. You know what I mean? Like, no, we can.
You guys, I just saw the coolest thing.
Hmm.
This woman just walked by the window. I want to take a picture of her. And she must be like in her 80s. And she's wearing this bright red hat with all these beautiful flowers and tennis shoes. And
go in.
A bright red, like, I don't know how to describe it, but flouncy top. And she just screams, I am enjoying my life.
Love it.
I love it too.
Good visual too. It's like, what is it that you could choose right now that would just totally light up your whole world, right? And just bring you joy right in this very moment. Like, choose to have it, and then like take action on it, right? What could you have? What could you do? What could you feel in your body right now, and really bring it in?
And hats are really magical. I mean, hats are really playful if you think about it. So few people wear hats, and don't, like, Tiffany, you have all these hats. When you put on a hat, it's almost like you're putting on this, this new persona, this new avatar, this character that can allow you to be more free in a certain direction. I think shoes do the same thing. Totally.
Do what?
Shoes do the same thing.
Absolutely. I have my hiking boots and I put them on. I know I'm climbing a mountain. Like, it's a total shift in energy. I have a cowgirl hat that I wear that is my chill, relax, read, absorb nature. But then I also have my brown serpent hat, where it is my creative energy. It's my powerful energy. It's when I have a very powerful mission to give. I also have a hat where I know that I'm going to go into like my goddess mood. They all hold so much energy. But I love what you mentioned, Bethany, like, what could you do right now? And honestly, you know what it is? I was talking to a friend about this, is I love dancing. I love dancing. I have a pole dancing, but I haven't shown that side of me because I've been so concerned about what people would think, like it's a sexual manner, but really, one, it's a really freaking good workout. And secondly, I get so connected and I move the energy in me and I create more energy.
So, yeah, well, and even getting into that sexual energy, that's like the energy of creation. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like about a physical, body part sexual thing. It can literally be that creation energy that you're bringing in, that is like, for a woman on the feminine side, is that receiving energy, right? Like, how freaking powerful is that?
Yeah. But that's like a hard side for me, that to bring that to the surface. I always bring forth my masculine side. And so I'm really working on that balance, which I have a coach who's helping me out with that. So
that's awesome.
I think it's so awesome is the word, that we can even have these conversations in the world today. And it was not that many years ago where you couldn't even say the word or the phrase pole dancing, and I remember I was a professional dancer, and for many, many years, people would say, well, what did you do? And I'd say I was a dancer. And then a litany of jokes, like it could never be just like an actual, no, I wasn't pole dancing. I wasn't in Vegas. I wasn't at a strip club. Not that there's anything really wrong with that, but it's just like in the last 5 years, I think even though a lot of weird stuff has happened, conversations are so easy to have around all of this.
Right. Well, we're
Sexuality and feminine and
right. Like we're not
again,
judging each other, leaving each other, and what our choices were, and understanding that everybody is on their own journey. So whatever they've chosen is their journey, and there's no need for us to go there and judge them and have a problem with it and create drama. Like, but that's not even fun anymore. I don't know. Like, it's just not.
Hands in the wrong guard.
And it's like you can bring your own meaning to things publicly. So a lot of people like that question of, well, who are you to even be going live? Someone said this to me the other day. I'm like, I didn't know there was like a criteria, it's like, this is social media, and here we're being social on the media. And so I don't know. It's just,
but that's what I love.
Your own meaning to pole dancing was my point. Sorry, go ahead.
But what I love about like going live, the coaching collective, we're creating our own community. Like, that's a beautiful place to be, when you can be off the platform in your own community that you've created, that you've chosen to be a part of, because you're choosing greatness, you're choosing to grow, and you're in a place where we can go live in the collective and not have to be concerned about it.
It doesn't matter, because as we've learned in the last 2 years, like there's a theory to support everything. Like, and people they just choose to be who they are. So I think it's an amazing time to be alive. Honestly, when you were talking about the shift of the collective, you literally can choose this kind of like how there are different pockets of like consciousness, or some people call them pendulums, or whatever, but you can choose the positive ones, the ones that you align with, and then allow that to move, because you're creating momentum. And that's what we are actually doing with the coaching collective. I mean, that's the name of it. It's really like the new paradigm is collaboration, not competition. It's how do we all work together and look for the best in each other, and provide opportunities for free for people to educate themselves and get what they need. Like, it's not about like, let's give you another powerful marketing message to make you feel like you're the lowest you've ever been, and we are the only people that are going to be your salvation. Like, everyone's sick of that stuff. So we come together with this whole new energy, and that creates a momentum of its own. Like, that is super exciting. And you can totally pole dance if you want. You can hat dance, or like whatever, drink or not drink, carnivore or vegan, it doesn't matter.
All included, and none of it is wrong. Like, you get the choice for what works for you and the life experience that you want to have. You're the one living your life, right? Like, nobody else is living my life.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to live someone else's life, well, you sure are avoiding living your own.
I know it's hard. It's enough work and effort and consciousness just to live our own.
For sure.
But, and that being said, there really is only one collective. Like, we could get into all this mysticism and stuff, right? And that's why every good thing we do, every time we play or become curious instead of critical or controlling, we are contributing to that collective. Every transformation is a transformation for the collective. Like, it's cool. It's magic.
All of us have the answers. That's why there's so many, on board. All of us have come forward to come with a servant heart to give you the resources. And guess what? If this doesn't work out for you, well, guess what? We just happen to know an amazing person that could potentially work for you. And that's why we do these extensive interviews to see if that's something that would align with you. That's really powerful. I don't see that opportunity happening out there at all.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Go with a group of people, a group of people. It allows you to move more quickly, I think. I mean, I know for sure, like Tiffany, if you and I had had that conversation, that would have been the end of it. Cause I'd just been like, whatever, I'll take it down. It's not worth it. I didn't mean it. And then number 3, who is being coached today, says, wait a second, that could be an opportunity. And it's because there's a group of people who care. And it's like, if you don't have a family that cares, make up a family, like you get to do that. Well, it's so much easier than it used to be.
It really does seem like the lone wolf time is over, right? Like you don't have to go it alone anymore.
Dude, I was the lone wolf for so long. Let me tell you, people, like as cool as you may have thought it was, and liberating, there's nothing you can't do. Let me tell you, here comes a season where the lone wolf cannot survive on its own. Join the pack, you're like, oh my gosh, my life just got so much more easier, more enjoyable. I feel understood, seen, and received, and I'm accelerating in every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. But people ask, like, what is the coaching collective? And I have to stop and I go, well, that's a really good question. The coaching collective is a collective of coaches where first of all, you can be educated about what coaching is, whether it's right for you, get these opportunities to have these one-on-one coaches with all 3 of us for 30 minutes for free to see where you are in your life so you can take the appropriate action steps so you don't have to join a coach or service to realize you had to take care of A, B, and C before you got to D. Wealth of information. We ask hard questions. What kind of questions do you ask a coach before joining or program? What's the fine print? What's their onboarding process? A library of incredible coaches. We offer our own service monthly that you can join for $47. Come join the Plate of Prosperity. See what it's all about. Create some massive momentum in your life. Let's revision your life. Let's get to the core of that. How do we put that into alignment? How do we make that a belief system for ourselves to be true? And then ultimately, how do we put that into action? I mean, that's what it's all about, right? That repetitive, that's the same wheel that keeps turning. You just got to
get the results that you're actually looking for.
Mm-hmm. So anything else to say? Like what when people ask you, like, what is the coaching collective?
Well, and it's an interview series with coaches in every niche. And we're asking them the questions, so oftentimes the hard questions, right? Because, and honestly, as we spoke to this before, we're doing this as a service because all of us have had really positive experiences working with coaches throughout our lives. We've also had really crappy experiences working with coaches. And anybody that's been in the personal development entrepreneurial space for any period of time at all, I'm sure has had both sides of the coin. So we just want we're all about play and prosperity, ease, grace, flow. Get what you want without adding more trauma to your life, And sometimes the way to do that is just like you keep saying, Bethany, like, you don't know what you don't know. How do you know what to ask if you've never had a coach?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And even to be introduced to coaches or people that you may have not known before. Because it's like, what if you want coaching in a particular area? Where do you go? Like, how do you find one? Like you can ask around and, maybe you can find something. But yeah, it's just another
you need to make right for your family, but you're also like, whoa, you've also been living in this real, I don't mean to be like rude or anything, but you've also been living into like a peasant state of mind, right? And where is that really coming from? So it's always, it always comes back to the center of who you are, of your being and what you've been taught or conditioned. And sometimes you think you need something when really you just don't know what you don't know, but really you might actually need to go here before you go there,
Yeah.
and trying to eliminate that for you, or trying to have you go forward smoothly. You're going to get there, but you can either take that really shitty, hard, rocky path, or you can take that path with freaking multiple guides who have been there and can make it as smooth as possible for you. That's how I look at the coaching collective.
Yeah. I love that.
It's
So-
also it's a group of it's coaches who seem to be, we're not like pushing for I want to say this correctly too, because I don't want to be misunderstood, but we're not pushing for dollars over if we were, we weren't. This is not the way to necessarily get there. Okay. So it's very much about making sure that the people that we are interviewing are in alignment with most like the values and the core mission of what we're about. It just seems to kind of work that way. It's like we just attract those people. Don't you feel like that? It's not like we're excluding anyone, but when we reach out to people, the people that respond to us are usually like they like us, or they're like, oh, I see value there. So we're all that allows us to be aligned as a collective, really within, I would say, certain type of values and the things that we really care about that matter to us, which is every coach you talk to is going to tell you, I live for that moment when my client sees the light, whatever the light of the moment is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so, because as a facilitator and coach and whatever you want to call it, like when you have those breakthroughs, you're standing so strong for that person. But when you see them through, like you guys, we have that super gushy, soft heart too. We're just like so proud to see forming their life.
Yeah, because you worked with youth a long time ago, right? As a facilitator, and the term coach too. That's a whole nother conversation, honestly. But when it is really, I think that's what coaching truly is. It is facilitating transformation and growth. And anybody that's ever had a really good coach will attest to that. And when you're working with kids, oh, I just think that's amazing, Tiffany. I love your whole background, all this stuff that you've done.
It was the hardest though, let me tell you, because as a mama bear, you just want to stick them all in, and it hurts to see that you only have so much control when assisting, especially when they're going in and out of services, they're leaving their home, going to a foster home and whatnot. But let me tell you, I still get messages from some of those children, and they're like, that moment when you took me out to breakfast, I'm going to start crying because it just means so much to me. But when we went out to breakfast and me and my sister were staying in that foster night in a held for 24 hours, I thought about our conversations and that list that we made. And I called all these people, and I got a part-time job, and I was able to get my name on the housing list. And then I called the person who does the housing. We got them a home. And it's like, that was one situation that opened another door to another door that actually transformed their life. They became extremely independent young ladies at the age of 17 and 18, when she turned 18. But you changed a life. And not only did you change a life, but you changed your sister's life. And I don't want to take the credit for it because she took the action. But the fact that there was a relationship together, to think that I could have been the ember that lit the fire, or just to know she was supported and that someone believed in her. That's really all it took, is someone listening and being heard and not judged and believing in them. It's really
holding the space.
Yeah. You are never broken. You are never too gone. You are never too old, never too fat, skinny, whatever you think, whatever is holding you back, it is all false. time and time again. Every season turns over, and season can be fucking amazing if you allow it to be.
Yeah. I literally had a question come up today in my mind, something around like, what if you woke up in the morning and you had no belief systems around what you were supposed to look like, what would make you beautiful, what would make you successful, you know, like what would make you lovable and worthy? Like, what if you didn't have any belief systems and you just got to wake up and like choose? Like, what would you choose? Like, how would your life look different?
Well, isn't that like Adam and Eve? Like, let's just be naked and like eat from the fruit trees, like go have fun and blah blah blah, right? Like, so you know, how did
that's your version.
Don't thank a woman for taking a bite of that damn apple.
I told my phone is gonna die. I'm gonna have to jump off here in a minute. My phone just gave me the notice it's about to die. So,
Okay.
and
I think we've had a good long conversation, although I would be totally down for having that Adam and Eve conversation, that apple conversation.
okay, let's do it.
Okay.
There's
Okay,
so many holes we can go down.
so many.
Yeah.
But to the point of this conversation, people, if you're hearing this, and maybe you're not, but if you come across it, and I don't think you'll ever get to the end, but if you get to the end, there's why you got there's a reason why you stuck around.
We will never get to the end if Bethany didn't have to go. We just keep going. There is no end to this. Sorry, go ahead, Tiffany.
But I'm just saying, if you stuck around to the end, there's a reason why you stuck around the end.
Yep.
You're enjoying what you're hearing now. This is obviously a very casual live. You are seeing our authentic selves at our own homes, our own favorite locations. We're all mothers, strong entrepreneurs, strong women, just like you. And we'd love to pour into you because all the possibilities are available to you, and why you can't be scooping them up.
Thanks for saying that. Love that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Dance break.
And I love holding space for people. Okay.
Yes, you do. I know you do.
Totally kidding. You should be able to laugh at these things, people, because life is too short. So, all right. Well, I love you so much. Thank you for everything you do.
Love you guys.
And I'll probably text you in like a minute.
Okay. Ciao, ladies. Thank you.
Well,
Bye.